Welcome to This Explainer. If you're the kind of person who just absolutely loves diving into the mechanics of a truly mysterious and scary story, well, you're in exactly the right place. Today, we're unpacking a fascinating narrative that brilliantly uses classic suspense-building techniques to hook us right from the start. But before we get into the nitty-gritty of how this tale is structured, let's get in the right headspace. Just imagine we're all sitting around a campfire. The embers are glowing, and the woods just beyond the light are completely pitch black. We're going to look really closely at Alex's terrifying Blackwood Hotel encounter and explore, step by step, how a simple night on the road goes so terribly wrong.
Okay, let's jump right in. The source material kicks off with this highly atmospheric quote, "Turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and get ready for a scary story." Right away, this opening demands sensory immersion from us. It isn't just asking you to listen, right? It's literally commanding you to alter your physical environment to match the psychological vibe of the story. By isolating our senses right out of the gate, the narrative actually primes us to feel the exact same isolation our protagonist is about to experience. It is just a fantastic storytelling hook.
And speaking of our protagonists, here he is. Meet Alex. He's a young travel blogger, and the narrative drops him on a lonely, dark, and rainy mountain road, miles from any semblance of civilization. The source perfectly isolates him from the very first page. I mean, just look at the elements at play here. Lonely, dark, rainy, miles from anywhere. In just one single sentence, the author completely strips away all of Alex's safety nets. The heavy rain is destroying his visibility, and the geographical distance removes literally any hope of a quick rescue. Now, as a travel blogger, Alex is naturally a guy who seeks out the unknown. But here, well, the unknown has totally trapped him. And watching this unfold minute by minute really shows us how the source naturally builds chronological suspense. It doesn't just toss him into a haunted room. No, it earns that dread. At 0 minutes, he's just dealing with heavy rain. It's a nuisance, sure, but totally manageable. But then, at the 10-minute mark, the car engine completely dies. And despite trying again and again, it just won't turn over. His metal shell of protection? Gone. By 60 minutes, he's been trudging through a freezing, dark storm with nothing but his bag. So by the time we hit 70 minutes and he discovers this forgotten hotel, Alex isn't just looking for a place to crash, he is absolutely desperate. And desperation, as any horror fan knows, makes people totally blind to danger.
So the crucial point here is what he actually finds. Rising out of the dark storm, tucked right between the imposing mountains, stands an old, decaying building. A broken name board reveals just a few weathered letters, spelling out Blackwood Hotel. The source describes this place as looking like it had been forgotten for years. It's an incredibly eerie setting, and man, it establishes a dreadful tone immediately. This isn't some bustling roadside motel. This is a total relic. The fact that the sign itself is broken and barely readable physically represents how completely disconnected this place is from the rest of the functioning world.
This brings us to the actual mechanics of Alex's decision-making. Let's look at the anatomy of a classic horror setup. Step 1, get stranded in a storm? Check. Step 2, find an abandoned-looking building? Check. Step 3, ignore literally all the red flags? Major check. I mean, we've all been there, right? Yelling at the screen when the character walks straight into the obvious trap? But what makes this explainer so much fun is breaking down exactly why it works. Alex's actions map so perfectly to classic horror tropes because his physical exhaustion completely overrides his logical self-preservation. So he pushes open the doors and enters the lobby of a place that, by all rights, should be completely empty.
But it isn't empty. When Alex walks into the lobby, he's met by an old man sitting behind the reception desk, just staring at him with a really strange expression. The source text makes this interaction highly unsettling. The old man simply asks, "Do you need a room?" Alex nods. There's no warm greeting, no check-in paperwork. The receptionist just slowly, deliberately picks up an old key and places it right on the desk. This slow, wordless exchange builds an unbelievable amount of tension. The old man isn't acting like a welcoming host, he's acting like a gatekeeper.
Which brings us to the key itself. The old man slides it across the desk and simply says, "Room 207. Let's just let that number linger for a second. Just a number, 207. Alex, maybe trying to break the heavy tension in the room, looks down at the key and asks, "Is there something special about this room?" And it's what happens next that makes this simple number feel incredibly ominous. The old man doesn't answer right away. He becomes completely dead silent. And storytelling, a pregnant pause like that, right after a direct question, that is a massive signal to the audience that we are crossing a serious threshold. The silence just speaks volumes. After a few agonizing seconds of silence, the old man leans in and whispers this chilling rule. Whatever happens tonight, don't answer the phone after midnight. Now this is a masterful narrative device. By giving Alex this specific, bizarre instruction, the author is creating the ultimate forbidden action rule. It's like being told not to push the big red button. The suspense isn't just about a creepy hotel anymore. The suspense is now firmly anchored to a specific object, the phone, and a specific time, midnight. It essentially gives the audience a countdown clock, a real focal point for all our anxiety.
This creates just a brilliant sense of dramatic irony. On one hand, we see Alex's expectation. He is literally smiling, brushing off the warning as just some old man's silly superstition. He's a modern guy, he's a blogger, he doesn't believe in ghost stories. But contrasted against that is the reality that the source confirms for us. There is a dark secret hidden inside room 207. This dramatic irony, where we, the audience, know that the danger is absolutely real, but our protagonist is blissfully ignorant, that is the engine that drives our engagement. We're practically begging Alex to take the warning seriously, but we know he won't.
The source material actually closes its introduction with a direct warning to its audience. And remember, there are some calls that should never be answered. This brilliantly relates the fiction back to a primal human truth. Why do we so often ignore warnings? Well, it's the terrifying nature of human curiosity. Just like Alex, we are so drawn to the unknown, even when we are explicitly told that it's dangerous. The story takes a ringing phone, something we've been socially conditioned to instinctively answer, and turns it into a lethal threat. It literally weaponizes our own daily habits against us.
So as we wrap up our analysis of this perfectly crafted setup, I really want you to think about how effortlessly the narrative pulled you right into Alex's shoes. From the isolating rain, to the creepy gatekeeper, to that forbidden object sitting in room 207, every single step was designed to corner the protagonist. The mechanics of suspense are just universally effective when they're executed this well. So I want to leave you with one final thought, a question to reflect on the next time you find yourself all alone in the dark. If the phone rings tonight, will you answer it? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.